Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something really quite unsettling. It's a collection of real-life encounters from across Asia that, well, they defy easy explanation. These aren't just scary stories, they're astonishingly true. And they really show how quickly, everyday situations can spiral into sheer terror. Our mission today isn't just to tell these stories, we want to kind of unpack them, extract the core insights, maybe some surprising lessons about human intuition, danger, and ultimately survival. You're going to hear about creepy elevator encounters, some really close calls in foreign cities, and mysteries that honestly leave you scratching your head.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating here, I think, is how these incidents, they seem totally separate, right? South Korea, Japan, China, Thailand, but they sort of weave together this tapestry of human vulnerability, but also resilience. Remarkable resilience. We'll look at the subtle signs, those gut feelings, the primal instincts, and sometimes just sheer luck or really quick thinking that made all the difference in these, real-life horror stories.
Absolutely. Okay, let's dive in. Our first story, it takes us to Seoul, South Korea. It's a mother's terrifying encounter that still sends chills down my spine just thinking about it. So, set the scene. This was about 10 years ago. A stay-at-home mother in an apartment complex in Seoul. Pretty standard. She's coming home from errands with her young daughter. She steps into the elevator in her building, and right away she just feels uneasy, deeply uneasy.
That initial feeling, that gut instinct, it's often the first warning sign, isn't it? It's amazing how often these stories start just like that, with that little internal alarm going off.
It really is. And hers was blaring. There's a man already inside. He's wearing a cap, a yellow raincoat, head down, face hidden. Instinctively, she pulls her daughter over to the farthest side from him, but the feeling gets worse. She presses her floor number, okay, but she notices no other buttons are lit up. None. And then she sees it. He's carrying something wrapped in newspaper, holding it really close to his side. She just knew something was terribly wrong. She starts panicking inside, but tries to stay calm on the outside. Pulls out her phone. Her husband's actually at work, but she pretends to call him, saying things like, "Oh, hi, I'm on the elevator now, about to get off. Can you get the door for me?" Just trying to make it sound like someone's right there, waiting.
Wow, that's quick thinking.
Yeah.
Strategic improvisation under incredible pressure. It's not just trusting the gut feeling, but acting on it. Using that social expectation, a waiting husband, to signal she's not an easy target. It's a kind of social deterrence tactic, really.
And it seemed to work at first. The elevator gets to her floor, she grabs her daughter, gets off quick, walks as fast as she can to her apartment door. But then she notices the man got off too, and he's following them. Slowly, down the hallway. She gets to her door, desperate now, starts banging on it loudly, and she's shouting, "Yobo!" That's like husband or dear in Korean, just full on pretending her husband is about to swing the door open. And believe it or not, the guy sees this, hears this, and turns around, starts walking back to the elevator.
Okay, so her quick thinking worked again. He reacted to the idea of resistance, maybe, that his chance was gone.
Exactly. But here's where it gets just unbelievably chilling. Thinking he's gone, she quickly picks up her daughter, turns back to her door, and starts frantically punching in her key code. But the key code, it makes sounds beep, beep, revealing, that nobody's inside waiting to open it for her. The man must have heard it, because he suddenly turns around and just sprints back towards her. She's screaming now, throws her daughter inside the apartment first thing, manages to get in herself, slams the door shut, locks it. Yeah. Just as he's inches away, literally inches from getting his hand, or maybe that thing wrapped in newspaper, wedged in the door.
Oh my God, that is absolutely harrowing. Just the razor-thin margin there. And what's really disturbing is his persistence, right? How he adapted when her first trick worked. It makes you wonder, how often do people maybe ignore those initial elevator feelings, those subtle signs?
Well, the true horror, the full weight of what happened, didn't actually hit her until months later. She's watching the news, and there's coverage about the capture of this notorious serial killer, You Young Chul. He targeted prostitutes. And the dread just washes over her. She recognizes it instantly, the all too familiar yellow raincoat and the same hat he was wearing when they caught him. It was him.
That confirmation must have been bone-chilling. Suddenly knowing who she'd encountered, it really underlines that idea of retrospective context. You only grasp the full danger sometimes when you get more information later. Her instincts, her quick actions.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a feeling, it was genuinely life-saving.
Incredible. Okay, from that terrifying close call in Seoul, let's shift gears slightly. We're going to Okinawa, Japan, back in the 1980s. This story shows a different kind of fierce parental protectiveness. Our listeners' parents were U.S. Marines stationed there. The mother was honorably discharged, but they stayed on, lived in a small apartment off base with their baby daughter, apparently very popular with Japanese friends because she had blonde hair, blue eyes. Now, the setup seemed totally fine. When the baby was about 4 months old, the father goes away for a week, training exercise. So it was just mom and baby alone. And the neighborhood was considered really safe, like unbelievably safe. They'd apparently once seen a 4-year-old walking home from his grandma's at 3 a.m. alone. No big deal. So a few days after the dad leaves, the mother, she's a light sleeper, from her Marine training.
Another form of that heightened awareness, maybe. Like the intuition of the last story, but maybe more ingrained from training. Sort of subconscious readiness.
Could be. It certainly played a huge role here. She wakes up, hears the strange noise, not super loud, but enough. Thinks maybe the baby needs feeding. Walks to the baby's room door, which was open, and she sees him, a strange Japanese man, reaching into her baby's crib, trying to pick the baby up. Now here's where it gets unexpected and kind of amazing in a terrifying way. Because of the heat, the humidity in Okinawa, she had a habit of sleeping naked. Her first reaction, zero hesitation, grabs her husband's aluminum baseball bat and chases the intruder right out of the apartment, stark naked, screaming at him in English and the little Japanese she knew.
Wow, just wow. That's pure primal protective instinct kicking in. Forget social norms, forget personal vulnerability. Just pure defense mode, a force of nature, really.
She absolutely was. After he fled, she checked all the locks, triple-checked them probably, and understandably spent the rest of the night sleeping on the floor right next to the crib. The next day, she told a close Japanese friend what happened. And the friend gives her this really chilling warning, says, blonde babies sell for a lot of money on the Japanese black market.
Well, that adds a whole new layer, doesn't it? Chilling. It suddenly shifts from maybe a random weird intrusion to something much more sinister, a targeted abduction attempt. It really highlights those hidden dangers that can exist even in places that feel safe, especially maybe in a foreign context where you don't know all the undercurrents.
Definitely. They moved the crib into their bedroom immediately after that, lived there without any more trouble until a family emergency sent them back to the U.S. The person who sent us this story says they sometimes chuckle, picturing their mom, naked, screaming, wielding a baseball bat, but they fully get the terrifying reality of what could have happened if she hadn't woken up or hadn't reacted so fiercely. Okay, our third story. This one takes us to Shenzhen, China. It's told by a woman about something that happened to her as a teenager. She considered herself pretty streetwise at the time. She was traveling with her dad, who was quite wealthy, a salesman for some high-end Chinese tech company. So one day, she decides to go shopping alone in Shenzhen. Her dad's boss was apparently a bit worried about it, told her to take his phone number just in case, which turned out to be crucial. Anyway, she gets lured into one of those back alley shops, known for designer knockoffs, bootleg DVDs. She was apparently on a mission to find the Scrubs DVD box sets.
The things we risk for TV shows.
Yeah.
But okay, back alley shop, alone. Starting to sound risky.
Right. So she makes her purchase, comes out, and this cab pulls up, looks totally legitimate, offers her a ride. She gets in. It's quiet at first. But pretty quickly, she realizes something's wrong. They're not going towards her hotel. And there's a second guy in the passenger seat looking very stern. They're ignoring her, just talking to each other in Chinese.
Oh, the classic fake taxi setup. That feeling when you realize the road is wrong and there's an unexpected passenger? Terrifying. How fast did she realize?
Very fast, thankfully. Less than half a mile, she figures. Tries the door handle. Locked. From the inside. That's when the men start yelling at her, threatening her in Chinese. Grab her purse, take her money. She has one last idea, one lifeline. Her dad's boss's number. She manages to call him, puts the phone on speaker, he answers, and immediately starts talking to the men in Chinese. And the effect was instantaneous. The men were clearly spooked, like really spooked. They slam on the brakes, stop the car, grab her, and literally throw her out onto the street. Then they toss some money at her and speed off.
Threw her out and threw money. It's bizarre. What happened there? Why is such a sudden U-turn? Sounds like that boss had some serious influence.
Exactly. She found out later a few key things. 1, the money they threw. Counterfeit. They kept her real cash. 2, her dad's boss told her those guys were likely Chinese Mafia. Tourists apparently went missing all the time in situations like that. Fake cabs were a known abduction method. He basically told her if she hadn't made that call, she'd probably be dead or trafficked. And 3, to this day, she has no idea what her dad's boss actually said to them. But whatever it was, he clearly had some, as she put it, questionable but scary pull in that world. She still jokes that the Scrubs box set almost cost her life.
Wow, that story is just layers of danger there. It hammers home how vulnerable tourists can be, even savvy ones, and the critical importance of local contacts, local knowledge, and maybe sometimes connections you don't even fully understand. Plus, again, trusting that gut feeling when a normal situation, taking a cab, suddenly feels very, very wrong. The reaction to that phone call tells you everything about the danger she was in.
Okay, next up, let's head back to Japan, Tokyo this time. Specifically, the Roppongi nightlife district. Famous, maybe infamous. This story comes from a guy who was there on a trip with friends, decided to check out the bar scene. So they walk into the area, and right away, these really aggressive Nigerian guys are trying to pull them into bars. Touts, you know. Our listener knew the reputation. Ridiculously overpriced drinks, sometimes drugging, pressuring people into maxing out ATMs. So they kept saying no, declined politely. But one guy was super persistent, followed them for a bit. Our listener, just trying to get rid of him, finally says something like, maybe later.
Oof, maybe later. That can sometimes backfire, can't it? Gives persistent people an opening, doesn't close the door firmly.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like it did here. Big mistake. Fast forward a few hours, he's pretty drunk now at this bar called Gas Panic. He's dancing, and suddenly that same large Nigerian guy from the street grabs his arm hard, says, "It's time to go to my bar now," pulling him, iron grip. Gives him this really sinister look. His friends are nowhere in sight. He looks down, sees a bruise already forming where the guy grabbed him. He manages to wrench his arm free for a second, but then he sees two other guys closing in, kind of screening him off from the crowd. And then the club's bouncer, a large Japanese guy, comes over, points to the exit. And it's right then as the bouncer starts talking in Japanese with the Nigerian guy that it clicks. They're working together. The bouncer isn't helping him. He's helping them get him out of the bar.
Whoa. Collusion.
Yeah.
It takes it to another level. It's not just random street hassle anymore. It's calculated, targeted, involving tracking him for hours and someone who should be providing security actually facilitating the threat. That kind of organized setup in a tourist spot is deeply disturbing. It makes it almost impossible to know who or where is safe.
It's terrifying. So before they even finish their conversation, the bouncer and the Nigerian guy, he just bolts, runs out the front door, ducks down a dark side street, makes a bunch of random turns, hides for a while until he felt safe enough to try and find his friends. He doesn't know exactly what they plan. Robbery, at the very least, he figures. But given how long the guy tracked him, the clear collusion, he suspected it could have been way worse. It's a chilling reminder, isn't it? Even in busy, seemingly fun places, you need to keep your wits about you. Okay, our final story tonight. This one takes us to Thailand. It's recounted by someone who was only 6 or 7 years old when it happened. They said the real fear, the full understanding of it, only really hit them looking back as an adult. So the narrator is staying with their dad and stepmother. It's a beach bungalow hotel, but not a touristy one. Kind of deserted, actually. They were the only guests there for hours before this started. The bungalow itself was simple, raised about a meter off the ground, and crucially, the lock on the sliding glass door was broken.
Okay, isolated location, broken lock. That combination immediately sets off alarm bells, doesn't it? Vulnerability written all over it.
Totally. So about 2 hours after they all went to sleep, the dad wakes up. There's a man inside the room, just standing there in the dark, staring at him while he slept. The dad, apparently quite calm, just tells the man, "Hey, this isn't your room, you need to leave." The man doesn't move, so the dad starts to get up, like he's going to physically remove him. And at that point, the man just turns and walks out. They look out from the balcony, but he's vanished, gone. They figured he was probably hiding underneath the bungalow, which is creepy enough. Then, about half an hour later, the narrator, the child is still awake, sees a hand appear through the gap in the sliding glass door, turns the light on quickly, nobody there. 15 minutes later, same thing, hand appears, light on, gone. They manage to jam the door shut with something, and then they hear him outside, fiddling with the jammed door, trying the lock.
The persistence is just incredibly unnerving. This isn't a mistake. It's deliberate, repeated attempts to get in, staying hidden, coming back. It suggests real predatory intent and knowing they were vulnerable there.
It gets worse. They called reception after the hand incidents. Reception checks around, finds nothing, tells them, call again if anything else happens, thanks. Maybe an hour passes. Everyone else is asleep again. But the narrator isn't. And they see the man